right, guys, thanks so much for joining me on our little webinar today, just talking about how to permanently eliminate your taxes forever. So again, my name's Nolan Sanborn, whether you found me from my website, from TikTok, YouTube, or really any other social media platform, I'm glad you're here. Most importantly, the people that I'm talking to today is somebody that's either a high net worth individual, somebody that has a high earned income, but most importantly, you probably have an issue of high taxes. You have whether it's an estate issue or you're a high income earning doctor or physician or a lawyer or an engineer, whatever it is, you might have a big time tax problem and you're trying to find a solution to that. So this is what we're going to talk about today, guys, simply talking about how to use commercial real estate with bonus depreciation and how we can implement properly engineered life insurance to essentially eliminate our income tax. And so let me go over this out of the gate. I'm going to kind of walk us through this slideshow. But again, you're somebody that's a high income earner. You're a high net worth individual. You have goals, desires, dreams of and maybe that has to do with spending more time with your family. Maybe it's continuing to work more. Maybe it's traveling. Maybe you want to become a pilot. I mean, whatever it is, you can probably do that faster if you have more money. And so what I want to show you is just how we can do that and get where we want to go faster through eliminating our income tax. But again, what is the monkey in the room that's holding us back from what we want to achieve? It's taxes. And again, you probably have already, if you're earning a higher income, you are already doing something right. But again, we can get there faster if we don't have to tango with Uncle Sam. So let me give you the quick blueprint of how this works, okay? So first, there's three separate buckets. I'll get into this. But number one, we have to have active losses offset our active income. Then we use bonus depreciation with commercial real estate. And then we do next is become a real estate professional, and we're able to convert a passive loss like depreciation into an active loss, okay? So let's just look at this really quickly. There's three ways that you can earn income. You can be active income, which is if you're a high income producing, again, an accountant or an attorney or a doctor, you're trading your time for money. That's active income, and it's taxed at the highest bracket. You've got portfolio income, is where you buy low and sell high. And then passive income, things like rental real estate, okay? So what our goal here is we have to find ways to switch over, which if you look in the bottom right corner here, our passive losses, our depreciation, and bridge that over to an active loss, because we can't intertwine a passive loss with an active income in order to offset those, okay? So the most important thing that we have to figure out is how to become a real estate professional, okay? And a real estate professional is pretty simple. The IRS has this term, and you have to spend over 50% of your time in real estate, is about plus 750 hours a year. And that could be you or your spouse can become the real estate professional. Now, there's some more. It's not really only if you're being audited. You have to actually quantify these numbers. But most importantly, I've created a whole system that actually allows you to quantify, show you the steps that you have to take. We've got a weekly newsletter that sends out on ideas on how you can actually spend time in real estate. Believe it or not, I think of real estate as I enjoy hunting down deals, talking with brokers and bankers and things. That's stuff that's, for the most part, maybe that might not be for you. But if you or your spouse, let's say you guys own an Airbnb. Well, if you spend 30 minutes driving to Home Depot, and then you spend 30 minutes picking out flowers, 30 minutes driving to your Airbnb, and then an hour planting those flowers, you just spent 2.5 hours in real estate because you're spending that on a residential income-producing real property. So there's ways that we are actually, maybe that's something you enjoy doing is gardening like that. So there's ways that where we can use the hobbies that we have or we enjoy doing and turn those into real estate producing activities that get us closer to that quantifiable 750 hours, okay? So let's just talk about what depreciation is, okay? Depreciation is an incentive by Uncle Sam to try and make us or incentivize us to buy real estate. It's a phantom expense and it doesn't cost us anything. And so again, Uncle Sam's job is the whole idea with taxes is just an incentive-based program. They're trying to find ways how they can tinker with the tax law in order for us to do more of the things that they want us to do. Things like, again, economic output and activities. If we need more oil and natural gas, they'll subsidize that by allowing you to take depreciation on that, letting you write that off as an income or a tax expense. They'll incentivize it by trying to get people to do more agriculture, to go in the trucking business, get in any way that they can incentivize economic activity. They're going to do that. And so if you're a high income earner and you see a ton of taxes being taken out of your biweekly paycheck, Uncle Sam, I wouldn't say is penalizing you, but you're just not able to use, or he allows you to deduct the same nice, fun things that business owners and entrepreneurs get to use in their taxes, okay? So just talking about depreciation in general, so 95% of investors only utilize what is called straight line depreciation, okay? And I'm going to just dive into this really quickly. So there's two separate ways of looking at this. Residential real estate, you can depreciate over 27 and a half years, but I'm going to talk about commercial real estate today, and that's 39 years, or roughly 2.56% per year that you can depreciate a real estate property. So just showing an example here, a $1 million building, you multiply that by 2.56%, that's going to equal $25,600 of straight line depreciation. Again, that's a dollar for dollar deduction on your taxes. So if you earned $25,600 in income that year, and you had this $25,000 and $600 of loss, you just completely earned 25 grand of tax-free income. Hope that kind of makes sense. So let's go into the next kind of step here, where we like to show this is the actual juice of what we do. So bonus depreciation in the 2017 Jobs and Tax Cut Act that President Donald Trump passed, there was a thing called bonus depreciation. And what that allowed investors and entrepreneurs to do actually was to go in and I'll show what I'm talking about here, but what they're able to do is compartmentalize, use what is called a cost segregation study, and compartmentalize all the items that are inside of a property and front load depreciation, or their depreciable timeline into the very first year, and take that total cost and use that as an offset in year one, okay? So let's look at this. Again, a cost segregation study. So imagine, for example, $1 million warehouse. You have all of these items that are inside of a property that are not actually included in the structure and in the roof. Things like, I look at land developments, things like if you were to build a fence on the outside, the lighting fixtures inside, the toilets, the cabinets that are inside the property, the tile flooring on the ground, all of those items inside of a property actually have depreciation scales that are much faster than 39 years. And so what this idea, or this cost segregation study, allows us to do is find out what those timelines are. Again, a fence, let's use, is a 15-year timeline of depreciation. The tile flooring is a 10-year scale. The light fixtures are 5-year scales. And so what a cost segregation engineer does is go into the property, find all of these items, package them up and compartmentalize them into their different depreciable timelines, package all of those timelines up, see what that total amount of depreciation is, and you can take that entire amount and offset that as a passive loss in your taxes in that particular year. Now, again, I'm not a CPA here. This is where I work with an accountant and our cost segregation engineers to perform these. I personally don't perform them. That's my disclosure, is I'm not an accountant and I'm not a cost segregation engineer, but we work very closely with engineers and accountants that do these types of things all day long, okay? So let's just look at a quick example, a bonus depreciation example. So if someone is purchasing a roof on a commercial property that is a $100,000 roof, well, the depreciation scale on that is 15 years. So if you were to depreciate $100,000 over 15 years, you would only be able to take $6,667 per year in depreciation deduction in your taxes. But because of bonus depreciation and utilizing a cost segregation study, we're actually able to take that $100,000 cost and use that to front load into the very first year of ownership and depreciate, or use that as a deduction all into year one. And so Most times the bonus depreciation is going to equal anywhere from 25 to 30% of the total purchase price in year one. Now again, that comes down to each individual property and you working with a cost segregation engineer to find out what that specific unique number is for that building. But just to use round numbers for this example, we're doing 25 to 30%. So let's just compare these depreciation strategies, okay? I'm looking on the left column here, the straight line depreciation, because this is, before we get into anything else, I want us to really comprehend and understand how important this strategy really is in order to offset against our active income, okay? So again, 95% of investors are only using straight line depreciation and they're straight up and down just leaving money on the table. So let's just walk through this really quickly. Again, $1 million building, we can't depreciate land. Uncle Sam understands that. So there's $800,000 of depreciable property and contents. So we look at this, $800,000, we multiply that by 2.56, which is in commercial real estate 39 years, which equals a $20,000 depreciation deduction. After we take some of the cash flow from the real estate that we would purchase, we subtract the $20,000 depreciation. So we would have a passive loss that year on that building of $2,600. Now that $17,000 right here is now tax-free income. Otherwise it would have, if you earn that somewhere else, that would normally be taxable. This now cash flow becomes tax-free, which is why we buy real estate, right? But now we have a passive loss of $2,600. Now a potential tax refund here is we just multiply that by most likely your tax bracket is 40%. Might be higher, might be lower depending upon what state, but we're just using very round numbers. You're going to be getting a refund of $1,000, right? That's really nothing to write home a mom about. If you're making $500,000 at your job, an extra $1,000 is literally an extra day of work at your job, right? But let's just go over here to the cost segregation study or this bonus depreciation. And I'm up here in this corner here, squeeze myself. But if we're looking at this, if it's the same thing. The cost of the investment is $1 million. We subtract the land, the same constants here. Let's look at the value of the property is $800,000. But when we utilize bonus depreciation after a cost segregation study, that allows us to take $240,000 of bonus depreciation. That now is a passive loss on our books. Let's keep going down here. That equates the value of the building to $560,000. Now we take this, that's what actual is the structure and the roof. These are the contents inside of it. The $240,000 are the contents that we compartmentalized in the cost segregation study. Now we multiply $560,000 by that 2.56%. That equals this $14,000 is now our annual depreciation deduction for the next 38 years that we own this building. So we take this bonus depreciation of $240,000 plus the annual depreciation of $14,000, equaling a total depreciation of $254,000. Now we subtract the same cash flow, what we earned, minus what we had in depreciation. So we now have a passive loss that we can offset against our active income of $236,000. Now, if we multiply that by what our tax bracket is, again, what we were doing on this straight line depreciation, we're looking at a potential tax refund of almost $100,000. We're looking at almost $95,000. And we really didn't do anything different. We just used a cost segregation study instead of just using straight line depreciation. So that's the power of at least commercial real estate when you understand how to use this deduction to offset against now our active income. Now, we can only take this bonus depreciation deduction against our active income once we become a real estate professional. But again, that's kind of where I'm coming in to help you is saying, look, I'll teach you exactly step by step. We'll have a bi-weekly checklist. You'll get an email every single week on how to stay on task. We've got a whole document that shows you how you can implement to quantify that you're in real estate. All of it's done for you. It's completely free. It's just a part of the program. Let's see here. All right. So again, straight line or bonus depreciation. Let's just compare these strategies, right? So again, the straight line depreciation is only producing $2,600 of a passive loss to offset against your active income. But with that cost segregation study, we're able to have $236,000 of extra passive loss, or again, $95,000 versus $1,000 back in your pocket, and you really didn't do anything differently. And what I like to show people is I say, look, this is where you can negotiate with your spouse and say, look, the tax refund that your family's going to receive for you being a real estate professional can be your salary. So you think about it. If your wife or your husband that may not want to be in real estate, this is a real thing. An extra $95,000. One way that I like to show clients and show people is if you're an income earner and you're making, let's say, even $1 million a year, which maybe that's you, maybe more, maybe it's less. And you make $1 million a year, and that's $85,000 a month of income that you're making. And you had this refund of $95,000 back into your pocket, and you worked for 12 months for that $1 million. You just essentially added on one more entire month of work onto your life that you would have otherwise had to go spend and trade your time for. So this adds actual time back to you and your spouse and your family to do the things that you want to do. Again, most likely you want to spend more time with your family. You want to go on more trips. You want to see the world. Or you might want to work more, whatever it is. This is just going to put more money back in your pocket without you really doing anything different. Okay, I want to talk about a real estate metric that I like to share with my real estate professionals and investors because it's not really talked about all that often. It's called intrinsic return on injected equity, or IRIE. And what that is essentially is our tax refund plus cash flow, and then we divide that by our deployed equity, or what we inject into a real estate transaction. So again, let me go back to this really quickly. So what we normally only look at is if you deploy $100,000 into a property and that property it produces $10,000 a year in passive income, that's a 10% return on your cash. But nobody really goes a step further and talks about the depreciation deduction and that tax refund going back into our pocket. So if you had that same deal where you made $94,000 in a tax refund, plus you made the $17,000 in income, and you deployed $100,000 into that deal, you're talking about 150% return on your capital just by using bonus depreciation in your life. And so this is just a metric to show what tax refund plus cash flow is when you divide it by your injected equity. So again, the game plan, simply broken down. You become a real estate professional, which again, I'll show you how to do. It's it's really easy. Show you step by step how to do that. You then go purchase commercial real estate, and then you take bonus depreciation. I don't want to say it's that simple, but it's that simple. Okay, let's just go into a couple quick examples here of commercial real estate deals. So this is a property in Birmingham, Alabama, Trustville. Actually, it's a little suburb of Birmingham. We purchased this property for $710,000. We're shifting the lease from a full service to a triple net lease. I won't get into that all right now. But full service leases essentially mean that the landlord is in charge of all of the outgoings and the expenses, the things like property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Well, where triple net lease investing is where the tenant actually is responsible for all of those outgoing items. You as a landlord, your gross income is essentially your net income. But looking at this, the annual income on this building is $68,000. The bonus depreciation is just under $200,000. And so the cash flow after debt service, $17,000. And then our tax refund on this is going to be about $80,000 that our investors are going to be able to put back in their pocket. So again, the internal injected equity return is 54%. They're going to be earning over half of their dollars back in the very first year of this deal just by using that bonus depreciation strategy. Here's another building. This is in Birmingham as well. All these properties are in Birmingham. This is a building we bought for $345,000. The lease is triple net, again, meaning I'm not paying any of the outgoings. My tenant is responsible for that. The income is $43,000 a year. Bonus depreciation is $103,000. The cash flow is $19,000, and I'm getting a tax refund of almost $34,000. And I say the intrinsic return on injected equity is infinite simply because I got creative on this deal and didn't have to bring any of my own money to the deal. But that's for another video. And then this is kind of a last example here. This is a building. This is a 67,000 square foot warehouse that I own in Birmingham. I bought this for $1.35 million. The lease, again, is triple net. I'm not responsible for anything. My tenant is responsible for all the maintenance, all the property taxes, all the insurance. The income you can see is about $168,000 a year. This was a big one. The bonus depreciation was over $400,000. So not only am I earning $85,000 in cash flow on this building, but I also received a refund of my taxes of $130,000 that I didn't do really anything different. I just received that as a refund from Uncle Sam after I filed my taxes from the year that I bought the building. So again, as we kind of go down this road, this is just my pro forma on how I actually run my numbers and just showing you that we get really thorough with how we run numbers, how we underwrite deals, making sure that if you were to become a limited partner of mine in a syndication, knowing that these numbers are we run the numbers watertight to make sure that these investments really cash flow, and our main focus is preserving our principal and not losing the principal that we inject in the deal. But just to go back to that last property that I was showing you, let's just look really quickly at what this deal actually produced. Okay, so again, $1.3 million in the initial investment. We need to subtract the cost of land. So the value of the property and its contents were $1.29 million. But you can go down to see here all the way at the bottom just to rerun through. The total depreciation, bonus depreciation, was $410,000. And so, again, after we have this passive loss now of $325,000, I multiply that by my tax bracket. And again, your accountant, he's going to have more specific numbers. I'm going to get as close as I possibly can on my own spreadsheets. But these are probably within $1,000 of being on or off. But most importantly, my intrinsic return on injected equity, I basically got a refund, or my total cash flow plus refund was $215,000 on this property. So again, that's nothing crazy, but when you're able to borrow 80% from the bank, you can deploy some equity from somewhere and then get that amount of return in the very first year. It can become pretty significant. So, and again, just to show that this property, after showing that we work these numbers and showing the ins and the outs, the cash on cash on this building was about 25%, 26% of what we injected in the deal, which was about $320,000 that we brought in capital to this deal. But I just wanted to show that these numbers are what they are. Okay, now I'm going to get going onto the next page. I'm going to stop this video. If you have any other questions, click the link to schedule this call with me, but I hope you stick around for this next video. All right, thanks for sticking around for video number 2. So what we're going to talk about in this video is just how important tax mitigation is, or at least the magnitude of mitigating around taxes. We've got to understand the importance of not paying taxes and what the money does when we send it to Uncle Sam, how it's never to earn for us, again, how much that actually impacts our finances, okay? So I want to show you first, just on a surface level, how much taxes can sting, okay? Let's do just an example breakdown really quickly. So if you're earning at a W-2, your gross income is $215,000. Add a zero, take off a zero. The numbers are going to be roughly the same depending upon your state and your bracket and everything like that. But let's say your income taxes are about $92,000. That's maybe state, federal, and even city, depending on where you are. But you have a net income of $123,000. Now, the problem is that for every dollar that we earn, we only get to keep 57 cents of that. But the problem is that every dollar that we spend is $1 spent, or one whole dollar that we spend, plus we have to pay some taxes on it. So the truth is, you got to earn $2 to spend $1. So once we kind of comprehend that even when we're earning this gross amount, we don't get to keep all of that. But when we spend dollars, we spend the full amount. So we have to understand how important it is to actually keep all of those dollars as often as we possibly can. Okay, I want to do a quick exercise. Doing the study, the exercise of, would you rather have $5 million or would you rather have a penny doubled every day for 30 days? Now, this is kind of a trick question, and I don't want you to think that there's an account out there that can actually produce these returns, okay? This is just an exercise to show what compound interest is and how it can be affected if you have market forces working against you. I just want to show these numbers because, again, this is not talking about an account, whether it's a life insurance policy, whether it's a stock portfolio, whether it's crypto. I'm just describing what compound interest does if something is doubled every single day, okay? And then we'll talk about some market forces that work against us and how bad it can actually ding our returns. So again, if we're just looking at this really quickly, you've got a penny double it every day for 30 days. You have 1 cent that turns into $5.368 million. You didn't touch it. You didn't have market forces working against it. It just simply doubled for 30 days in a row, okay? Let's see here. So if you look at the bottom here, again, it's $5.368 million after those 30 days. We don't see a lot of growth until the very end, but notice what happens, okay? Let's see here. Right now, again, we have zero opportunity cost because we have no market forces that are working against us, all right? Okay, now let's look and see what happens if we happen to withdraw money, okay? Now, again, that's for anything, whether we want to buy a pair of shoes, whether we want to go buy a new vehicle, an investment property, whatever it is. We're now taking money out on 2 separate occasions, so a total of $200, $100 on 2 separate days, day 15 and day 25. So you notice from day 14, this should have been about $163. We took $100 out, so it's only $63 now. And then in day 25, it would have been $372. It's $272. But look what happens to the opportunity cost, or to our total at the very end here. Instead of us having $5.3 million, we're only left with $2 million. It's an opportunity cost of $3.28 million simply because we withdrew our dollars on 2 separate days. $200 total, but we have lost $3.2 million because we interrupted compound interest, okay? Understand, I'm not talking about an account. I'm simply talking about what happens when you withdraw money from its earning potential, okay? Let's look at another thing that happens here. Taxes, 15% tax. Could be worse. It could be better. It could be worse, depending upon where you are. But look how bad this is. 15% that's taken out of any of the growth over your entire lifetime here, or even here it's these 30 days. Instead of you having $5.3 million, you're left with just under $600,000, or an opportunity cost of $4.8 million. And if you notice, you only pay $182,000 in taxes. And so, again, this is a pretty substantial amount of money that you had this market force working against you. So before I get into anything more, I just want you to comprehend that withdrawing money and paying taxes are 2 of the biggest detrimentals to building our wealth that's possibly out there. Everybody has to do it, for the most part, pay taxes and withdraw money, but there's a better way to do this, and I'll explain how. Before I get into anything more, though, I want to just show guaranteed values versus market values, okay? And again, these are all just math, right? It's just mathematics. There's no funny numbers or anything. It's just showing what happens if you do this, what happens if you do that. I want to show if you had $10,000, okay, in guaranteed market value, it goes up only 4% interest for 10 years, okay? But you know you're earning 4% every single year, versus a market loss in year 1, year 5, or year 10. In the same numbers, but I'm going to give a 6% return versus 4%. If you notice that we had a loss in the first year of 20,000 or 20%, year 5 is 20%, and year 10 is 20%, I want you to see that even with a higher rate of return, you had less money. Over here with the guaranteed 4%, you earn you're at $14,800. Where when you have a market loss of any dip in the market, you're already behind. Why is that? Even if you had a higher interest rate. Because if you look on the far right here, whenever you have a market decline, you always have to claw back by more. So if you have a negative decline of 10%, you got to earn 11.1% to get back to even to where you were before. It gets even worse as numbers go on. But 25%, you got to earn back 33% just to make back where you were. So what this shows is that you've now not only had an interruption of compound interest because you have less money to grow for you, but now you're already behind the 8 ball. And so versus something that's a guaranteed interest rate. So again, showing that we have any volatility in the market, we're behind. Anytime that we withdraw money, we lose big time. And anytime we have taxes, we're really burned. Just understanding that 1 year of volatility will ruin the compound interest, and it puts you behind the guaranteed interest every time. And who's to say that these market losses don't happen in more than 1 year, right? Okay. let's just say that you're an investor and you have an equipment that you want to purchase, okay? You walk into the bank, and this is a little story. You walk into the bank and you have $250,000 in cash in your account. And you go to the bank and say, hey, I'm going to go buy a new dump truck for my business, a new rental property, whatever it is. But you're going to withdraw that $250,000 to go and deploy the equity into that business or that truck or that real estate deal, whatever it is. That $250,000 is being removed from your account in order to go buy something that you need for your business to earn more income. But the banker says to you, wait, I have an idea. What if you leave your money in this account, I'll pay you 4%, and you borrow my money at 6%. You want to do that deal? Your brain, and even me, when I first did this, thought the same thing. Your brain tells you, no, why would I do that? I'm paying more than I would be earning. That would be stupid. I'm losing money on that deal. But if you pull the layers back and actually do the math, let's look at the math here. You have more money. Why is that? Why do we have more money? Because look, let's say this, a payment calculator. Your loan balance of $250,000 at 6% interest, you amortize that out over 60 months or 5 years, your monthly payment is $4,800, okay? So the future value of this, let's say those monthly payments over 60 months, gives it a future value of $289,000 or $290,000. So you paid in interest $40,000 basically to borrow the bank's money. But let's look at the savings account at this bank that this banker told you was a better deal. Your banker actually didn't fib to you. Let's see why. Because you actually didn't remove your dollar's ability to compound. So you had $250,000 that you were earning annual interest rate of 4% for that same amount of time of 60 months. Your bank balance is $304,000, or you earned in interest $54,000. And the arbitrage at the end is you made $14,000 because you did not remove your dollar's ability from compounding. Although you used the bank's money, you had more money because you were always earning on an ever compounding amount while you were always paying down an ever decreasing liability. That's the difference, switched mindset you have to think. It always makes more mathematical sense to borrow someone else's money than to remove your dollar's capability from earning interest. And so that's what I wanted to say. It always makes more sense to use other people's money. Whenever we're not interrupting our own money's ability to compound, we're always earning on that ever increasing amount of money. While when we borrow the bank's money and pay back that loan, we're always paying down a decreasing liability. We're always earning more than the cost of capital that way. So let's just talk about another thing of the real returns of arbitrage, okay? And so let's just say that we borrowed $300,000 from a bank at 6% for 12 months. You're going to be paying the bank in interest $18,000 for those 12 months, okay? Or whatever that math is, $1,500 a month in interest, or whatever that is, 50, yeah. So, but let's say this. You're lending this money to, you become the bank to an investor. So you borrow $300,000 from the bank at 6% that they're charging you. So you pay them $18,000 after those 12 months. They're happy. You then take that $300,000 and you go lend that as a private money guy or a hard money guy to an investor at 13% of interest per 12 months. And you earned $39,000 in interest. Now, on the surface, you'd look at this and say, okay, I only earned 13 minus 6%. I only earned 7% in the spread. That's not true. Again, your brain is playing a trick on you because it feels like on the surface that we would only earn, it's easy math. 13 minus 6 is 7%. The real return is not 7%. It's 216%. Not to mention using someone else's money, so you really have an infinite return. But your only liability is the bank's $18,000 in interest, but you earned $39,000. So the $39,000 that you earn, you divide that by your cost of capital, that equals 2.16 or 216% return on a deal where you didn't have to remove, and not to mention any of the growth inside of an account that you didn't, because you didn't take money out of your policy. That's the power of using other people's money out in the marketplace. So again, that's the power of using other people's money. Once we comprehend that we don't want to remove our dollars from earning, we would much rather have a lower guaranteed interest rate than be susceptible to the market at a higher interest rate, but knowing that any volatility can crush our compounding and we'll be behind. So we don't want to remove dollars, we don't want to pay taxes, and we don't want to have any volatility because it's going to put us behind the 8 ball when it comes to growth inside of any account. Now, we're going to get into the third video here showing how life insurance works and how you can have all of these factors work for you instead of having market factors work against you. See you in the third video. All right, so this is video 3 talking about going into actual life insurance and infinite banking. The first 2 videos were talking more about not interrupting compound interest by withdrawing dollars or by paying taxes or having market volatility that burns our compound interest. And then the first video was talking about commercial real estate, talking about how to use bonus depreciation in order to offset against our active income in that taxable year. This third video is just going to talk about how we fund these real estate deals and most importantly, understanding how life insurance and infinite banking actually works. Okay, here we go. So before we get into anything else, we got to understand that we finance everything that we do. We either borrow someone else's money and pay them interest, or we save up cash, spend it, and then give up the ability to earn interest on the cash we just spent, okay? So the majority of people, whether you have $1 million, $100,000, or $10,000 sitting in a checking account, we'll use this kind of timeline as what everybody tends to do, is keep, whether it's a kind of a rainy day amount, right? It could be, again, $1 million, it could be 1,000. But everybody, for the most part, has anywhere between that amount of money that they leave. If it gets too high, they go move it to an investment. If it gets too low, they bring more capital in. But most importantly, we keep around this same amount of money in this account. But the majority of people, they finance everything that they do. 75 to 85% of Americans actually are always in debt, borrowing other people's money and paying them back with interest. The other side of the coin, the Dave Ramseys of the world, the 15 to 20% of the rest of America, what they'll do is they'll actually save up capital and then they'll spend it at the very end. And so they'll save, and spend. Save, and spend. And they go. And the problem is, though, is we end up getting to the same point, whether we're borrowing money or whether we're saving up cash and spending it. The problem is we never actually get anywhere with our cash, this amount of money, all the while we have all of these transactions and ebbs and flows inside of this cash account. What infinite banking does essentially on a very surface level is it allows us to still control our capital, to control the payback schedule, control the amortization of when we buy things and pay for investments or vehicles or any type of other transaction. But we control everything, but we don't interrupt the compound interest of our dollar, all the while the insurance company's money's out in the marketplace. Okay? So why infinite banking? Well, first, we have to find out that there's only really 3 places that we can keep money. It's in tax-today's accounts, things like savings, money markets, CDs, tax-deferred accounts, 401ks, IRAs, SEPs, and then tax-never accounts, things like your mattress, a safe, or life insurance, properly engineered for cash value. So if we could draw up a perfect business working capital account or an equity account, these are normally, in my opinion, what most of our business owners or high income earner net worth individuals focus on as primary attributes of a working capital account. They want to have a competitive rate of return. They like to have safety where any dollar in there can't lose value or can't go backward. They want it to be liquid where we can get our hands on it if and when we need it. Ideally, it would be tax-free where nobody can actually, or Uncle Sam isn't our partner, where he can sink his talons into our dollar. Creditor protection, which is one that not a lot of people consider, but when it comes into real estate or any type of litigation, we want to make sure that an attorney or any other entity can't come after those dollars. But most importantly, an idea called uninterrupted compound interest, where even when we access our dollar, it still continues to grow inside of that account as if the money never left. Okay. So let's just go into this though. So these are the attributes of why we use life insurance. Again, just to going on the tax today metric here first. Tax today's accounts don't have competitive rate of returns. We're earning pennies. Are we saying it's safe? Sure. Is it liquid? Sure. We can get our hands on it when we need it. But obviously, it's not tax-free. It feels like it's tax-free because we haven't earned anything in a long time. But if you were to actually earn anything in a savings account, you would get a 1099 from that institution for whatever interest that you earned. Obviously, it's not creditor protected. That's the first place a banker's or a litigator or an attorney is going to go when he's pressing charges on you. And then obviously, uninterrupted compounding. When you remove those dollars to go spend it on something, are you still earning on the money that's in the account? No, you're not because it's left. Let's switch over to tax deferred. Is it competitive? We hope it's competitive, right? Money sitting in any type of investment account, we're hoping that we're getting a competitive return. So let's check that box. Is it safe? Probably not. A lot of people over the last year have experienced a pretty significant dip in any investment account. Is it liquid? No, it's tax deferred. You have to tie those dollars up until you're at least 59 and a half years old before you can begin withdrawing those dollars and then again partnering with Uncle Sam. So obviously the next one is tax free. No, it's tax deferred. So the government is your partner on this. He's your silent partner. For every dollar that you earn, he's getting a slice of it. Is it creditor protected? In certain states it is. Thankfully, if a litigator was to approach you, he could not access the dollars inside of your deferred account. But then obviously uninterrupted compounding. When you take the money out of the 401k, is it still earning? No, you've taken it out to go do something with it. Thankfully, Infinite Banking checks all of these boxes. You have a competitive rate of return of 4% that's guaranteed plus a dividend. So I like to say anywhere from 4.5% to 5% every single year on your money. It's safe. These policies cannot go backward. You're contractually guaranteed to have more money the next year than the year before. It's liquid. Getting a policy loan is as easy as shooting me a text and saying, "Hey, Nolan, I need $50,000." I say, "Sounds good." It'll hit your account in 2 to 3 business days. It's tax-free. No, any dollar that goes in this is never to be taxed by the government. You've removed him from the IRS from your partner for the rest of your life. It's creditor protected. No entity or litigator can come after any amount of money that's inside of your account. Again, in certain states, the more liberal states, there are a little bit more discretionary on how much or how little a litigator can attach a lien to your policy. But 48 of the states, no creditor can touch your money. And then the big straw that stirs the drink is the uninterrupted compound interest. When you access the money, and I'll show you how in a minute, when you access the money, your dollars do not stop earning. You continue to grow and earn as if your money never left. So really quickly, let's give you a quick history on how these infinite banking policies are designed, okay? So in the past, you've heard of the Rockefellers, you've heard of the Ray Krocs and McDonald's, the J.C. Penney's, these higher net worth and huge wealthy families. What they actually used to do is put millions of dollars into insurance policies called single premium insurance. And what that was is they would go to the insurance carrier and say, here's $5 million of cash. And they would suppress the death benefit, and the insurance company write them and say, we'll give you $5,100,000 of death benefit. But they had immediate liquidity of that $5 million. They just changed the location of it. And again, the reason why they did this was because of all the attributes I just showed you. So all of these wealthy individuals were funneling millions. And if you Google BOLI, B-O-L-I, bank-owned life insurance, banks park billions of dollars in specially designed life insurance policies just like this for all those exact reasons of those attributes. But what happened in I believe it was 74, when Uncle Sam stepped in and did the ERISA Act, which essentially introduced the 401k and the IRA and all these tax-deferred plans. Life insurance actually used to be the primary savings vehicle of all families up until about that time when the ERISA Act actually came on board. But unfortunately, the government began getting involved in the investment business instead of life insurance. And so people started to funnel money into the tax-deferred accounts and away from whole life insurance. And so what happened is, and this is why I believe insurance guys get a bad reputation, is they went to the whole other side of the spectrum. Before, it was all about cash value, and which was high cash value, very low death benefit, low profits, and low commissions. And the insurance agency or industry in general went to the whole other side of the spectrum here and started focusing on death benefit, profits and commissions and suppressing the cash value as low as possible. So that's where things like term insurance, variable life, index universal life, and even, I say traditional whole life is all structured for death benefit, which is then huge profits and huge commissions to agents. Well, thankfully, there was a gentleman that came around. His name was Nelson Nash, and he discovered that you can actually take whole life insurance contracts and flip them on its head and get them really, really close to the single premium insurance model. But before that, there was a thing called the Modified Endowment Contract line, or this MEC line, if you studied it. And that's just basically the IRS's limit as to how much liquidity you can have in a life insurance policy without it becoming an investment vehicle. And what this metric is, and as I'll show you guys here in a minute, most importantly, we have to understand that Nelson Nash created a policy that is a whole life policy that's right up next to this MEC line, where you get all of these same attributes of single premium insurance. The same reason the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the Ray Krocs, all those guys were doing single premium insurance. But because we're on the right-hand side of this MEC line, we don't have to pay any taxes on any of the growth. So that's how we basically grew into this design, is Nelson Nash discovered this idea or how we could do this, and then by putting it into practice. So let's just break down how a policy is constructed. So again, let's use this $100,000, and it could be, you can have $1 million, you can put in $10,000. There's actually no limit as to what you can and can't do. It's just the ratios inside of the policy are what drive the value and what drive the growth of the policy. It's all about the metrics, and so we're going to split this $100,000 into two numbers, almost like a numerator and a denominator from back in high school fraction math class. 60% in the very first year goes to what is called FPUR, or Flexible Paid Up Rider. It's a fancy word for cash value, okay? And then in the bottom here, in the denominator here, we're going to send about 40%, and that's going to go to base premium. Now, we don't have access to this $40,000 in the first year, and I'll show you why. But most importantly, the $40,000 of illiquidity doesn't go away. It goes to actually purchasing the asset to the life insurance company's eyes. And I'll explain this in a minute. But most importantly, after the very first year of this policy, you've now set the ceiling, which is $100,000, and then the floor of $40,000. Every year moving forward, any amount of money that you put into this, year 2 and beyond, 98 cents of that is going to go immediately to cash value. And then it's going to keep growing. You're going to have a larger number, compounding and compounding. But depending upon your business, the ebbs and the flows, you can put as much or as little inside of this policy that you want. I always like to say, if you're going to be, building a business, would you rather want to compound on a large number or a small number? Okay. But every year you can put as much or as little. If you have a year where you need to put 80 in, year when you put 40, 60, 100, it's all up to you and how you want to fund this policy. Okay. We can go into more of that. But most importantly, I want to show how we earn uninterrupted compound interest. Like I mentioned a minute ago, how we're able to still earn inside of the policy as if it never left. Well, that $40,000 that I showed you, where you don't have access to it, what that does is to go and purchase the asset. So I want you to think about this from a real estate perspective. Maybe you own a home, maybe you're renting, whatever it is. Most people, let's say that you have a home equity line of credit, right? A HELOC. And you've put $100,000 of equity that you've built up in your home, and you own $1 million home. Every month you make mortgage payments. And as you know, there's interest attached to that at the bank, but you build principal, you build equity in your home. Now, on the other side of this, whole life insurance is almost identical to a HELOC. The difference is that we just call, instead of mortgage payments, we call this premium deposits. When you make premium deposits, you build equity or cash value inside of your policy. Now, that initial step back in when we sent that base premium of $40,000 that was illiquid, that goes to this side of the balance sheet or purchases this $1 million of death benefit. Now, that number is going to change depending upon your age and your health, but let's just try to keep apples to apples here. So again, when you want to go and borrow from your home equity line of credit, and let's say you and your wife or your husband want to go and borrow $50,000 of equity from your home to go redo your kitchen. Now, that's not going to interrupt the appreciation of your home, and every time you still make mortgage payments in your property, you're still building equity. When you borrow from that line of credit, the asset in which you're borrowing against is real estate or your home. Same thing with life insurance. You've built up equity by making premium deposits. When you go and borrow from the cash value or borrow the equity away, you're not interrupting the appreciation of the policy, but they're putting a lien on your death benefit. That's the only thing so the asset to the life insurance company is the death benefit, the same way that the asset to the bank or to the collateral to the bank is your real estate. That's how they're identical. It's all about the nature of the collateral. So let's just do a quick policy example so you can see what these numbers look like, okay? Now again, this is not maybe describing you. We can add a zero. We can take off a zero. These are just going to be showing numbers that are, let me see if I can move myself over here. Well, what this says here is cash outlay, which is our deposits, our cash value, and then our death benefit column. That's what that shows. And what this is showing is really clean. Again, it doesn't have to be like this. You can put, after the first year, you could put $40,000 into this all the way till you're 75 if you wanted to. But I just wanted to make this look clean. That way, just for visually, you can see it. So the first 4 years, we're going to make $100,000 deposits, or 5 years of this deposits of $100,000. Year 6 and beyond, we're going to make $40,000 deposits into this policy, for a total amount of $640,000 of deposits into this policy, okay? Now, the cash value, as you can see, after year 1, we're going to have that same step back. That $40,000 that we didn't have liquid goes to purchase $1.88 million of death benefit. Again, that's the asset to the life insurance company that we're able to borrow against. So after 10, you have liquidity. You can borrow this whenever you want, okay? But most importantly, as you can see, over 10 years, you made $640,000 of deposits. You've got $684,000, almost $85,000 of cash value. So you've almost got $45,000 of growth inside of the policy. Now, I want to hammer home how important this is. This life insurance policy is not going to make you rich. It's what you do with the money is what's going to give it superpowers, okay? So just know that this is just better because you're not paying taxes on the growth and you're not interrupting compound interest. Mathematically, you will have more money doing this strategy than working with Wells Fargo. It's just mathematics. You will have more money. So again, out of the gate, you're coming out a little slow. You're behind, but you start to catch up. You can see here, even from year 7 to year 8, year 8 to year 9, or whatever that is, you had $563, and then you made a $40,000 deposit. And then your cash value went up to $623. That's basically you just earned $60,000 in 1 year on a $40,000 deposit. That's a 50% return on your cash that year. Now, that's not describing the internal rate of return of the policy, but that's saying that if you went down to the local bank and you made a $40,000 deposit and they immediately wrote you a check back the very same day for $60,000, and you had the ability to go do whatever you wanted with that, who says no? That's basically what this is it takes time to get to that, but over time, the compounding effect on your money can truly be enormous. And then not to mention too, after year 10 of these deposits, you can see that you'll see a little star right here. This shows, and we can get into the details as time goes on, but most importantly, you now have permanent life insurance that you can't outlive. You did what is called right here a reduced paid up policy, where you tell the insurance company you're not going to send one more dime to base premium or flexible paid up rider. They're going to shut it off. You're going to keep earning money. You can see you earned another $400,000 over the next 10 years. You didn't take any risk, you didn't pay any taxes, and it's contractually guaranteed. Plus, you get a permanent death benefit. It's tough to compete with that. So that was the end of part 3, just talking about life insurance on the 30,000-foot view, because at the end of the day, it's not really talking about what the policy does. It's what you do with the money. It's what's going to give it superpowers. So again, this part 4 is going to talk about what happens if we actually take life insurance and we bring commercial real estate and we smush them together. Let's see what really happens. I'll see you on the next video. All right, so if you watch the first 3 videos, you've known these 3 things. You know what bonus depreciation is and how it able, when you have a real estate professional status, you're able to actually offset your active income with your passive losses. We understand how important it is to not withdraw our money from any type of account, how important it is to not have any volatility in our accounts or pay taxes because it ruins the compound interest of our money. And then third, in the last video, we went over more details, a 30,000-foot view of life insurance and whole life policies structured and engineered for cash value, and how you can use these policies to fund anything in the world that you want to do, whether it's vehicles, whether it's investments, whether it's college tuition, really anything. But your money keeps growing and earning tax-free, uninterrupted inside of this policy as if it never left. Now, the final and last 4th video right here, we're going to talk about how to bring these 2 ideas together. Bonus depreciation with commercial real estate and whole life insurance structured for cash value, and what happens in regards to returns on a deal when we sandwich those 2 ideas together. Okay. So if you remember in the very first video, talking about a building that I purchased in Birmingham, Alabama, and having to deploy equity into that deal. So really quickly, just doing a policy example. We have to read this really quickly because it's important. We recognize that interrupting compound interest has a profound effect, a huge effect on the growth of our cash. The most important question arises when we inject equity into a real estate deal: from what location are we deploying the capital? One thing that I've kind of recognized over the years that I've been buying real estate and understanding life insurance, we don't comprehend how important it is to focus on where we're deploying the capital from. Every day of the week, we're always talking about rates of return on a real estate deal. What's the cash on cash return? What's the debt service ratio? All these metrics of real estate, but we don't ever focus on where we're actually pulling the cash from when we deploy the equity into the deal. What we talk about with life insurance is we take a step back and even a step further, talking about where we're bringing the capital from and how it actually enhances the returns on the deal. Okay, so let's just talk about this equity, this $321,000 of equity that we have to deploy into this deal. And what happens if there's just going to be levels to return. I'm going to show you the math on how it gets better and better and better the more ways that we're able to layer onto this. Check this out. So again, levels to this return. So on that building that I bought for $1.35 million, if we did not have any type of leverage on the building, if we just brought cash, all straight equity to the deal, we'd have about a 12.4% return on that building. If you remember, we deployed about $1,350,000 was the purchase price, and the cash return, or the net operating income, was $168,000. You do the math, it's about a 12% return if we didn't bring any leverage. If we borrowed from the bank, if we borrowed 80% from the bank and brought that $321,000 of equity, that's the cash that we brought to the deal, and borrowed 80 from the bank, our rate of return over doubles. It goes to 26.5%. And so again, after we serviced our debt, we are bringing in about $85,000 a year of net cash flow on an equity injection of $321,000. If we take it to the next level, where we use leverage and then couple it with bonus depreciation, where we borrow the 80% from the bank, we take 20% equity from cash, but then we introduce the bonus depreciation in that tax return that we receive when we take that passive loss that is turned into an active loss, and it offsets against our active income, that refund that we receive at the end of the year because our employers are withholding taxes. We're able to return that dollar back into our pocket because of the tax refund, because of the bonus depreciation. It bumps up our return on that building to 67%. So almost 3 times more return simply because we introduced bonus depreciation. And then fourth and finally, 73% return on that building because of what we did is when we deployed equity into that deal, we borrowed from our life insurance policies, my partner and I. And when we borrowed the money into that deal, we pulled money from our life insurance policies, which allowed our dollars to continue to earn and grow tax-free as if the money never left. We borrowed 80% from the bank. So we deployed the $321,000 from our life insurance policies, allowing the dollars to continue to grow. We took bonus depreciation on the property, allowing us to put all that money that was again, returned to us on our tax return, plus all of the cash flow from the property. And not to mention, I'm not even including any of the principal pay down in the 20-year amortization mortgage. So that's a whole, we could even go a step further if we wanted to, talking principal. But just in return from leverage, depreciation, and infinite banking, you're getting almost 73% return on cash just by doing it this way versus 12% return by just using all cash. That's the power of using and understanding bonus depreciation and properly engineered life insurance when you're structuring and buying real estate deals. Okay, so there's no better way to finance real estate deals than to use infinite banking and using understanding bonus depreciation. But obviously now, if you don't, like I said, it's up to you to utilize this information now. Again, you haven't made any decisions to move forward with anything, but now that you don't decide to do any of these things, to buy real estate or to use properly engineered life insurance, what do they say? Fool me once, can't get fooled again kind of thing. It's on you now. The ball's in your court as to take action one way or another. And obviously the next action is to implement these strategies in your life so you can begin utilizing this and start earning those dollars back into your pocket, okay? But again, obviously the reality is that you're busy. There's not much direction when you're starting this, and there's really little time because you're out there earning a high income or you're running a multi-million-dollar business. You don't have the time to go find real estate deals or to utilize or get your life insurance license to implement this life insurance policy. Hopefully this is where I can come in and be a partner of yours. So again, we've got mastermind programs where hopefully you'll take the opportunity to be a part of and implement these strategies, learn how to use these. What we do with infinite banking, this mastermind, when you become a client of mine and you implement this policy, this is completely free to you. What we do every single month is we go and have Zoom calls. We do 15 minutes of kind of back to the basics, understanding the foundations of life insurance. We gave you the 30,000 foot view today, but most importantly, we break down the basics and the fundamentals and the foundation of how we use these policies. You get to meet other people that are already doing this and implementing infinite banking in their lives. I mean, it's amazing because what you'll end up doing is you'll hear other ways on how people are utilizing policy loans, and it'll just ignite the way that you think about how to use your policy loans out in the marketplace. But most importantly, you're going to really gain a great grasp on the why behind why we use these policies to implement strategies in whatever that we do. When we finance things in our lives, this is the basis and the foundation in which we work with. So again, you'll get a part of this when you become a client of mine. You get invited to be a part of this every single month. It's totally free. You'll be a part of the chat on the Facebook chat, the Facebook group. You'll have access to all of the videos 24/7 and again, have access to me to bounce ideas off of and how you can utilize policy loans in your life. Second, we got a commercial real estate mastermind. Again, this goes into the details of everything between how to find deals. You analyze that pro forma that I showed you earlier. I basically make a copy for you and you get to have your own pro forma showing you how to work the numbers. We walk through all the metrics that are important. Again, how to negotiate terms with the seller, negotiate financing, structuring real estate syndications, anything and everything in regards to commercial real estate. I walk you through, hold your hand kind of step by step. Again, you'll gain access to the community of other commercial real estate investors and people that are wanting to purchase real estate and have the financial freedom of commercial real estate that you really can't get in a single family house. But also most importantly, regarding a real estate professional status. It's difficult when you first take that first step. You're thinking, okay, 750 hours, I got to spend over half my time. It's kind of daunting. It's not worth it. Well, I'm going to hold your hand, walk you through, hey, we're going to have this bi-weekly checklist that you're going to be getting and say, hey, okay, here's some hobbies that I have. Here's some real estate activities that we can do where you don't feel like you're actually working, but you get to quantify that you're in real estate for that amount of time. So it's a really good thing to keep you on pace throughout the whole year as you're going and looking and finding deals and purchasing and acquiring real estate. But again, you'll get homework every week, whether you do it or not. But I'm going to show you how to analyze deals, how to look up property, how to understand rent per square foot, price per square foot, global debt coverage ratios, how to negotiate these terms, understand these terms to where you can talk like this and understand what you're looking at and doing, and it'll become second nature to you. Also, again, you'll have access to all the previous Zooms that we have every single week. You'll have or every other bi-week. You'll be a part of the group online. It's a community that we're trying to build of where and most importantly, you'll be a part of meeting other people that are like-minded. That's, in my opinion, that's what keeps the train and the locomotive rolling, is that you're getting to be a part of people that are identical to you. They all want to become real estate professionals and commercial real estate investors and syndicators. But also, you become a part of this, you get to be you get a free ticket to the in-person event that we have in Birmingham. You do basically a deep dive into how we do deals. We'll walk all of my properties. We'll meet with brokers. We'll go look at buildings that are for sale, talking back and forth on how to do this, put in some offers. You'll meet all of our attorneys, the accountants, the lenders, other investors. You'll meet insurance guys, everybody that you can have on the ground to build your commercial real estate business, basically kind of skip to the front of the line. And then obviously, if you want to be a part of our real estate mastermind inner circle, that's going to give you the first position opportunity to personally invest with me in the real estate deals that I'm doing. So there's huge opportunity. I'm finding deals all the time and every week, and I would love for you to be a part of it. So again, guys, that's basically it. That's kind of my quick pitch on commercial real estate, not interrupting compound interest, whole life insurance, structure for cash value, and then what happens when you put all of them together and then you're a part of a mastermind like the Infinite Banking Mastermind, where you're part of a community of people using this structure and these ideas to enhance their life, and then community of commercial real estate where investors are wanting to do and invest in real estate to become financially free, and you get to be a part of something that we're building that could be really cool and hopefully get you where you want to go faster. So again, guys, thanks for watching this video series. Book a call with me now. I'd love to talk to you, and hope to see you on the other side. Talk soon.